This camp is very unique, the first of its kind to have para and women and men all together. For you personally, what are you hoping to take away from this experience?
A lot of things. Obviously, get to know everyone. It's a big group and some familiar faces, but a lot of new ones from the last time I got together here in 2014. So, I think just getting to know everyone, getting as much preparation as far as knowing what to expect when we go there. But it's a lot of things crammed into 3 days here, but it's really important for us. And obviously, as Team Canada, you want to try to come together as best you can.
And to follow up, what foundation do you want to lay over these next 3 or 4 days for your team in particular that'll help you in February?
It's tough. I think just get to know one another, build as much chemistry. Obviously, a lot of us have, played together with 4 nations, but just as a group, try to prepare as best we can, whether it's things on the ice or off the ice that can help us when we get there. It's a quick turnaround, so anytime we can be together and benefit from this time is important. So we'll try to make the most of it, and it's a great opportunity, like you said, to be with the other teams and get to know everyone there.
Connor, we'll talk lots of Olympics, but do want to get to the contract situation. Maybe just give us a sense of where things sit right now, how you feel, about what Stan has done, and, if you're optimistic that a deal will get done before the season starts.
Not even a softball Olympic question for me to start, huh? But that's okay. Right into it. I said at the end of June, I had every intention just to take my time with it, and I still feel the same way. Take my time and go through everything, and I have every intention to win in Edmonton. That's my only focus. Maybe next to winning the gold medal with Canada, but it is my intention to win there. Taking my time, going through it with obviously my family, my agent, everybody involved. So we're going through it slowly.
Is it an option for you to go into the season without something done, or would it be your preference not to go into the year without something locked up?
I would say all options are on the table, really. As I said, we're going through it. I don't have a preference either way. I want the group to be as focused and dialed in and ready to roll come day one as possible, and we don't need any distractions. So, as I said, taking my time with it, and that's it.
Sid, this for you. What does this opportunity mean for you? 12 years after Sochi, 2 Olympics passed, you didn't get a chance, and now you're 38 years old and you're sitting here and you still got an Olympic opportunity in front of you. Just put into perspective what this whole thing means for you.
It's hard. I think just grateful for the chance to still be competing and having the opportunity to do this. You never know. It's a tough sport, and it's competitive. So to be part of this, I think just grateful, but I also know how special the opportunity is and what it means. So I think in knowing that, it's motivating. It's a lot of fun to be a part of. You can feel the energy. I think coming off 4 nations, that was huge, and I think everyone got a taste of international hockey and obviously what the Olympics is going to look like. So. I think a lot of different emotions, but just excited, motivated, and grateful for the opportunity to be at it again.
Sid, it's obviously tough for anyone to make this team, but over the years, teenagers haven't made Team Canada too often. I'm just wondering what your impressions were of Macklin Celebrini at the Worlds and how you think that experience might help him put his best foot forward this year.
Yeah, I think he's an incredible player. His all-around game at his age is pretty impressive. He's committed defensively. He competes hard. He's got a pretty mature game for his age, and I think having that experience at Worlds can only help. I'm sure he built confidence from that. I know being on the ice with him and then seeing him out there day to day and what he puts into it, I'm sure that's something that's made him a better player right away. So as the year went on last year, he got better and better, and that'll be a big building block. And he's earned the right to be in the conversation.
Donna Spencer, Canadian Press. Connor and Sam, do you remember where you were and what you were doing when Sidney scored that overtime goal in 2010 and how that impacted you.
Yeah, I mean that's a memory of a lifetime right there. That was my last year living in Vancouver before moving away to junior. So to be in Vancouver, I was actually at a couple of games. I was at the shootout game winner against Switzerland. So I was jumping up and down on my couch with a couple families over at my parents, and there was definitely some rearranging of furniture going on, after that one.
Yeah, same thing. Obviously a special time for all Canadians, especially us as young guys going through that. Same thing. Our family kind of gathered with a bunch of teammates after we had played earlier in the day, so we all got together, watched the game, and had some food, and it was just so tense. It was so intense. You could feel it. The energy in the building, the nervous energy in the building. It was coming through the TV, and then obviously the elation when Sid scores and Canada wins gold on home ice. Doesn't get any better than that.
Eric Francis with Sportsnet. Just wondering if you guys anticipate that the style of play will change, from the Four Nations to the Olympics because of, potentially the different rules and because you're under the Olympic auspices?
It's a good question. I mean, we'll probably go over some system stuff here the next couple of days, so we'll probably get a better feel for that. But, it's NHL ice surface, so I would think that, as far as structures and things like that, it would be pretty similar. But obviously you look at the skill level, the speed, it's a whole nother level. If it's anything like Four Nations, it's going to be fast.
Hi, Derek Van East, NHL.com. Just both for Connor and Sam. Just you guys have been denied the opportunity for whatever circumstances to play in the Olympic Games. You've had a long time to think about it. What's it actually? How do you feel about getting a chance to represent your country at that level on that stage? And the things that come with it, just walking into the Olympic Stadium, being around other athletes, just there's things like that. Just maybe a thought on that from both of you.
Well, I think it's, you talk to people that have been there, and the consensus is always there's nothing like it. There's nothing that compares to it. It's kind of interesting. It's been out of the game for so long. You almost don't take it for granted because of that. There's a lot of players, a lot of high-end players that kind of missed out on that opportunity. So you have to kind of cherish it. And then you got someone like me that it's kind of coming at a perfect time, right? So. You almost relish it that much more, and you certainly have to seize that opportunity.
Kind of forget the question. Can you just remind me what the question was?
What's it going to be like being around Olympic athletes and just taking the whole Olympic experience?
Right. Well, I think even just this week, being here with the women's team, the para team, you just get the feeling of being part of something that's bigger than just your club team. Just being part of the Oilers or Pittsburgh or Florida. It's so much bigger than that. It unites the country. Obviously, we talk about Sid's goal, talk about the Four Nations and stuff like that. What that kind of feeling and playing hockey at the absolute highest level. I know for myself, the hockey at the Four Nations was the fastest, tightest checking, most difficult hockey I've ever played and ever been a part of. So I can only imagine, what it's going to be like at the Olympics and that next level. And that's what ultimately everybody wants is sport at the highest level, and that's what the Olympics is all about, and that's what we're looking forward to being a part of.
Now, when you go into the regular season, what's the approach during the season before the tournament? You're obviously concentrating on your NHL team. That's for Connor. Just, do you still have that Olympic in the back of your mind as you're going through the season, knowing that you want to peak at that time, I guess?
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind is you want to peak a little bit earlier in the season. You talk about wanting, your game, your team's game, wanting to peak in the playoffs. Well, for us guys as individuals, you want to peak at that time and come together and, have your best foot forward for, the Olympics and what we're ultimately after, and that's to win a gold medal. So yeah, it is interesting, but I feel like it's a little bit similar to last year, what we kind of went through. I felt that same way. Some of the guys are going through the dog days of the season, getting ready for their vacations, and I felt a great deal of wanting to get going and play the right way, play a detailed game, a tight checking game, and making sure I'm ready to go to play at the highest level.
So Sid, I just wondered, like in 22, when they announced, that the NHL players weren't going to that one, was there any part of you back then that wondered, like, if your window to play in another Olympics was closing? Like, did you think, okay, am I going to get an opportunity to play with Connor and a Sam and like that generation of players? Is there any concern back then that something like this, maybe time had run out for you just with where you were at then?
I'd say no. I think that, with the way things went and so many things that are controlled out, in the two prior times, leading up to that, I think, I try not to think too far ahead and just, try to let it play out. And I was pretty confident that we'd find a way to get back, and I wanted to be a part of that, obviously. But I guess I kept the belief, but I think it wasn't something that, I gave a whole lot of thought as far as missing out on the opportunity. I just tried to be optimistic and positive about it.
Hi, gentlemen. Moses Boulder here with Global Calgary. This question is more directed to Connor and Sam. I know with Sid and probably the stories he's probably told you about his Olympic experiences, but you did touch on, just talking to everybody else, whether it's the para hockey team or the women's hockey team. Is there a story amongst your conversations that you've had where it kind of stood out, where you're like, that's going to get me excited for 26, getting that opportunity because you saw or you heard Marie-Philippe Poulin tell a story? Is there a couple examples you can provide?
Yeah, I think most of it, the stories. It's what happens in the athlete village, right? You're sitting for lunch or dinner or breakfast, whatever it might be, and you're just conversing with athletes in all different forms, and they're all at the top of the game, so you're just kind of sharing stories, sharing history, how you got there. I think that's part of the experience as well, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Hey, Connor, is there a story there?
I gotta start going first because he's taking all the answers. That was going to be my answer, but we had Cassie Campbell, Pascal, share her experiences, and she talks about, it was her last Olympics, and she's playing with a player. She's going through her first Olympics, and just the excitement that she had for her, and watching her go through that, and wanting to make it special for her, and the memories they shared together as roommates, going through it, her for the last time and her roommate for the first time. That's what it's all about, coming together and doing something special, not only for yourself and for your teammates, but for your country. And that's obviously what we're aiming to do.
Connor first, and then Sam second. I asked Sid about, putting into perspective what this means to him. I wonder for you guys, if you can put in perspective what it means to get a chance to play with him in the Olympics, provided, all things go well, that he's still representing Canada at this level.
It's no shortage of what, Sid means to me. I think that's been well documented, obviously growing up, watching Sid and idolizing him, and seeing him score that goal, and he's cut from the 06 team, and the 10, he scores that goal, and then obviously the captain of the 14 team. So for our generation, and for him to still be here and being the captain and still playing a massive role, it's special. It's special for all of us. And we're obviously really looking forward to that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not lost on us, our generation. I think the biggest motivation there is, for us is that, it doesn't look like the window's closing for him anytime soon. And like you said, he's a day-by-day kind of guy focused on the now. And, that's motivating for us. And, so we're excited about that opportunity.
Sam, no team had more players in the Four Nations than Florida, and it's probably going to be similar at the Olympics. What was it like getting back into your team's dressing room after the Four Nations was over?
Not too big of an issue. I mean, once you get back on the ice, it's right back to where you left off. I think like Connor touched on it, everyone was kind of in different positions going into the break. So it probably benefited us going into it. Guys were ramping up, wanting to be at their best. I don't think it's going to be any different this year.